Okay, so Saturday morning the 7th at 6:30, and I've been up a few hours. The I was just totally uncomfortable, so uncomfortable again. It's like my whole body keeps hurting. And then I decided to take some magnesium and it got stuck in my throat. I had to get up and I had to drink some tea to try and melt them to go down. They're like horse pills. And they both got stuck like right there. And I was like pushing, trying to get them to go down. God, that was a horrible feeling. So, anyways, I've been up for a while, and the I feel scattered. I feel like the energy is weird, even to the point where um, I'll be standing on the ground. This keeps happening. I'll be standing somewhere, and it starts feeling like there's electricity coming up through the ground or something. I feel like my feet are getting shocked, and who knows if it's coming from down and going down or if it's coming from up and going up, but it keeps being really weird. Things are just so strange, like these weird body aches and these weird sensations and the weird dreams. Oh my God. What's weird too is that some of them are like nightmares. And when I was a kid, I used to be so horrified to go to bed because I had nightmares for, I don't think they stopped until I was, man, it might have been like when I was 30. Um, it was a long time. Every night I had nightmares. And when I was just picturing it, it was with the husband that I was with. It seemed like it was my second husband. It seemed like that was the first time that I stopped having nightmares every night. And so, and I didn't marry him until I was 29. And so, so funny because that seems like, being much older or something to me, but to some people's like don't even get married till they're in their 30s. But, when I was younger, people got married much younger. So, anyways, but these nightmares or weird dreams or bad dreams or whatever they are, it still seems like I'm experiencing something, I'm learning something, and it doesn't. I mean, I still feel like kind of like I go to sleep and I get pulled into some weird world or something, and it almost feels manipulated, kind of like how I think a lot of people feel manipulated being here on this on Earth, if you want to look at it that way. But yeah, it feels like the dreams are, but I mean, if I'm learning something, then maybe it is like my higher self is taking me to these places to show me things or something. I just don't know. I don't know. It's just new experiences that I have not had before. And I thought for sure I'd remember these dreams this morning because they were creepy. It seemed like there was something about blood, something about cars. I don't even know what all. And it's so weird how I'll think, oh, I'll remember this for sure, because I'll be like aware, and and then I can't remember when I wake up. So, anyways, but the this the whole thing for tomorrow has me like kind of confused over like what to do about something because Monday is when I get paid. So Monday I was going to the grocery store and I was gonna get up early, go to the grocery store and get all stocked up. But there's so much about tomorrow, and that it's like, oh crap, if it goes down tomorrow, I mean we're at risk that nothing will open on Monday, and even if it ends up that they do a WW3 kind of situation, then they could do like martial law, tell us all that we have to stay in our houses or something. It's just like, man. So I was thinking, man, do I use a credit card and go up and get groceries up at Albertsons? But then it's like, well, the stuff I really want is in town. So I don't know. I mean, I've got peanut butter and crackers. I'm already gone through. I've already out 13 about 13 gallons of water. It goes so fast, I cannot believe it. So then it's like, man, maybe I should go, because that's like, how many days has it been since I went and got water? It's like 4 days of water or something. So, it's just those things of like being prepared for what is going to come, if it's going to come. There's been so many different things where it's like, oh, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. Everybody be ready. Everybody be ready. But there's so many weird signs about Sunday. Like even Donald was like, there was a picture. I don't know if it was a press conference. I don't know what all, but it was all, the guys in the suits all around him sitting at the Oval Office. So he's sitting at his desk, and then he's surrounded by these guys, and they all have on a different color necktie that matches the emergency broadcast system. Okay, what's the chances of that? Like, what is the chances of that? The only one I didn't see was pink. But, yeah, it was just like the same going across. And, which, everything is like, we're always being spoken to in symbols. They can't just come right out and say stuff. And I was thinking, okay, because there's different options too. And if this were to go down, and so many different people, like people are finding all sorts of different signs all over the place. Somebody was just showing, and I don't even know what this Ingersoll Lockwood is. I thought what they were showing was the debt calculator, like that website, which that may be through Ingersoll Lockwood, but the guy said this is on Ingersoll Lockwood. So I went to go look up, what is Ingersoll Lockwood? It was a person who was like a lawyer and a something, like a political figure and lawyer or something. I don't know. He was old. He looked like he was from the 1800s. So and I don't know, he could be more recent, but anyways, and I don't know if it was like his company and it's one of the big corporations or something. And but anyways, on this picture, so many people have done the breakdowns of the pictures. Like, people started, as soon as they put up the poster, people started saying, this is weird colors. Why is these colors this way? And then people started being like, it matches emergency broadcast. Why is it matches emergency broadcast? Or then what are they trying to tell us? And which, you think about, the perfect example of something to happen would be that place. And and now the what's her name of the 3-letter C agency has come out and said that there's all the sleeper, those cells have been activated, and that the Qaeda has said that they are going to, attack. So so we got that one. Then there was another one I saw where it was talking, and it looked like a government paper or something. And it was talking about all the people, like they're going to have it be shown worldwide, which I guess they probably do all the time. But so they're going to have it televised worldwide. It's going to be live, and it's and it was going through telling like how many people would be watching, how many people would be there, and stuff like that. And this morning I looked up like how many people are at the Super Bowl, and it's somewhere between 68,000 and 77,000, which is a lot of people. And but I mean, there's a lot of different things that could happen. And I guess there was a movie with Morgan Freeman, and I'm trying to think of what the name of the movie was. But in the movie, I think he's a political, or he could be one of the Secret Service or something, but I don't know. But in the movie, somebody plants NUKEs at the Super Bowl. And so they've shown us in movies. They always show us in the movies. And then people keep saying there's also some sort of comparison to that one, the big one that they had with Julia Roberts. What was that? I think The Last Day or something. I don't remember what it was called. But there's something that people keep comparing that to. That there was something shown in that movie. And then, so anyways, they were show us in the movie. So this Ingersoll Lockwood picture, it has a whole bunch of stuff where I swear to God, it seems like it's off of the debt calculator page. But so it has the pyramid. It has, I think, the seeing eye in the pyramid. On the top, it has the trophy and the football. Behind the football and the trophy thing. So they have it to kind of look like this Heisman or whatever the trophy is for this game. And then behind it, there's an explosion. Then below it, there's a flag, the California flag, and it's on fire. And then there's a banner, and it says something about the safest. I think it's saying something about how to keep your money safe. And then it has a badge of gold and a badge of silver. Then up at the top, it has a pentagram with a pentagram inside of a pentagram. And then on each of these, it has 4 circles. And in the circles, it has the bit. It has different crypto coin things. And so, symbols for them or something. And the guy said something about a symbol for the DOGE too. But I don't know. But weird kind of symbol thing up there. And then it has the colors of the emergency broadcast. So it has more things to say, like where tons of people are like, don't go to this game. But think about all the people that'll be watching. And so I was thinking, okay, it could be if it were to go down. And because I don't know, we've had so many of these different things come and go. I mean, how many months ago it was that everybody was going to be raptured away in one day? So, and I mean, people were getting rid of their stuff. They were so sure it was happening. So, if it were to go down, I was thinking, okay, it could be that they would, it just kind of feels like that there is like the bad side that wants to create harm, and then there's the other side that wants to protect the people. And so so I was thinking, well, they could make like this thing happens, because just as they did with the towers, there was a whole, a green screen, let's say. And so things appeared to be happening that weren't actually happening. And so I was like, well, they could do that same kind of thing. Like everybody's watching and it appears that this situation occurs and everybody starts freaking. But there could be a situation that does occur. Like they could, because I was thinking, okay, so, and they could be trying to do this because something else is supposed to happen. So then they're trying to warn us and then prepare us, and that they are trying to come behind, like this thing is supposed to happen here, but if they have this happen here sooner, then this can't happen because this has happened. So it could be something like that. But I was thinking, so, but all the people who are in there though, so they didn't just, go, like their story had to kind of seem legit if they didn't really let them all be, killed, then they would, I was like, well, it seems like the smartest thing would be is a situation to happen there, and maybe a gas, powder, I mean, one of those kinds of situations. And then tell them all that they have to be taken somewhere. So they all have to go somewhere because now they've got some kind of funk. They've got some kind of a gas or what is the word, an infiltrate or something. And so load them all up and start taking them. Okay, so you think if they did that, because they can close the roads off. Okay, because I was thinking, okay, because immediately, if this happened on here, there would immediately be a huge amount of people that would rush there. And so in the local area. So the way to keep them from getting up there would be to block off all the roads, which seems legit because if something occurred, they would definitely block off the roads. So immediately there would be cops. Okay, so not every cop would have to know. It could seem totally legit because if you're out here with the roadblock, all you know is some incident has happened. Okay, so then they start bringing in, like, oh, fuck. How would you even bring in enough ambulances for 68,000 people, man? So you would be bringing in, you could be bringing in buses. You could be bringing in anything like that. Okay, so then the other loophole would be the hospitals. So then how would you make it where the hospital wouldn't be the link to tell everybody? Oh, because you can't bring this powder or thing to the hospital. So it's military. So something is set up and they are taking the people there. So then the hospital would be like, okay, well, they're not bringing them to us. So the hospital wouldn't be all the wiser. They could still be like this, thinking this has happened now. This is all in the scenario that they don't really wipe all these people out. This is like if they wanted to create an illusion of a traumatic incident, but then really not wipe everybody out. But it still is like, could possibly be wipe everybody out. But for all these warning signs, it would be like, well, how in the world could the, Qaeda get in there and plant their stuff? Because it's like, they all know. If we all know, then they all know. So that would seem kind of ridiculous. It's like, oh, well, they got one past us. It's like, well, weren't you guys watching? Weren't you checking? Didn't you go through the place and check it beforehand? And the other day when I was talking to my brother about this, he said that they have to constantly go through training for just this kind of situation. And so, but like a real one, like a real terror attack, like one of those. And so, he said there always have to be, especially as LA, so there always have to be alert, prepared, and trained for these events. So you would think like they wouldn't be able to just get one past them and be like, oh, well, we didn't know, we didn't see it coming. I was like, well, you guys were sure putting a lot of stuff out there. So, but if it were to just, because there would be a whole group of people who would say, oh, because there's already people saying it, oh, this is just a distraction too. So, because of course Donald's going to create a distraction because he doesn't want everybody to know he's in the files. And then people are like, he's in the files 48,000 times. There's a lady on a podcast who is a rich, she's a journalist. And the guy's like, well, are you in it? And she said, yeah. She said, everybody's in it. Anybody who went in these circles, went to these parties. If you didn't know Jeffrey, you were, like if you aren't in the files, you're a big loser. You're a nobody. And so this person was saying everybody in a certain class is in these files because that's who Jeffrey was trying to interact with. Jeffrey was trying, he's like a salesman, and you've got his his card file. He's trying to make contacts with everybody because that's the way he would create his income. So, which there's so much coming out too with, he's still here. There's a weird ass thing that I just saw of a guy who he looks up. So you look up like you go to Google Maps on here, you go to the island, and then in front of the blue and white shed. Then in front of that, there's a pool or something, and it's called like pizza pie, with the pie like PI, pizza pie V1. So like pizza pie Roman numeral 6, and you click on that, and it goes to reviews. Well, all of these reviews, these current reviews, are talking about hanging out with him. And if it's not him, then it's the same name, and he's the top guy at the place. It's like, what in the world? Like, yeah, the guy was going through all these reviews and stuff. It's weird, definitely weird. But there's all sorts of people who are finding there was a lady who, she was in her car stuck in traffic in I think it was LA. It could have been Seattle, but she was stuck in traffic, and so she's sitting there, and she looks behind her, and she sees, you know who. So she freaks, and she's like trying to turn and get a picture. He sees her doing this, so he just takes off going like 60 miles an hour down the road. So she tries to catch him. She said there was no way, but she said, why would he react that way if it wasn't really him? And then there's been all sorts of different pictures and stuff. In one of the reviews, it says see you in Valhalla, and so there's a whole thing about that, which I don't remember if I mentioned. There's a whole bunch more with this whole thing with the land that's green and also the land that's icy. Like, there's more to the story. It isn't just Donald trying to get the, no, there's an unveiling, there's an unraveling of something. And so I'm not sure what it is. Even on this thing about the penguins and the penguin pineal gland, like that whole weird thing. Now they're saying that wasn't really penguins. So it's just so weird and dark, and so much symbols and talking in code and stuff like that. But so, okay, so if we wind back and we go back to tomorrow, and then we see, like, okay, it's a show. This is a big show. Everything is a motherfucking show. And so so if we take this situation, and they, smoke comes out, and everybody's, oh my God, you've been, you've been gassed. You're gonna die in 48 hours. We gotta get you to this base. We gotta, purge this. We got the antidote. It's over here. And they start loading all these people and taking them and taking them and taking them. But on TV, you see, like, boom, explode, like all this stuff going because of, we got AI and green screens and all that shit. So they do show us anything when we're seeing it here. Even if you are in out in the streets, they have, crisis actors and stuff. So even if you see something happen, it can still be pretend. But definitely when it's on the big screen, then there's a lot of manipulation that goes on. So they can create a huge scenario that could seem a lot different than what it really is. And then, but the whole thing is going towards this shutting down. Because you gotta think too, like, it's weird because you think like most of these people are, like it's safe out there, but they still got to keep the storyline going, because they wouldn't have all these people out here in masks and shit and clones and all this shit if they weren't keeping the storyline going. So in the storyline, we're not safe because the bankers are going to fight to keep control. And so when it gets to the edge of them going down, and we know who they use as their military, or terrorists. So those, horror guys that create terror, that they are really the army of the corporation. So the corporation has its own military, and it is used for, scary stuff for the most part. And to You know, like when they're saying sleeper cells, you know, like in the bay, like in the cities and stuff. Like I don't even know, like out here. I mean, mostly out, like out of in the rural communities and around the farmers and stuff like that. You are going to be more safe than definitely than if you're in the inner city. The inner city is going to be chaos, and so more dangerous. And so that's where, you know, it can be really sad, you know, young girls walking down the road and don't realize, and then they're being attacked, and old people, men, anybody. And so, and we've already seen the precursor, like we've seen these people going around punching people or stabbing people or like everything. And I mean, they've been out there with fucking machetes and stuff. So it could be anything, you know. It's just whatever works that they got, because that's how they work, you know. But I think for the most part, a lot of them have been taken. But this would also draw out the ones that have been sleeping. So the hidden will come out. So how do you draw them out? How do you get the last ones? And so you call them, and you create chaos, and but you're prepared. It's prepared chaos, like. But in the storyline, you know, the bankers want to hold power, and they use these people, and they have their, you know, corporate institution, and so they are all a part of the same thing. I mean, it's our medical is through that. Everything is through them. Our food is through them. Everything is through them. And so then this big final, if this is the finale, then the big finale would be orchestrated in order to make us see the corruption behind what these people do to hold power. And so that if so this would be kind of the way to show and to you know, really get our attention and see and how dangerous and what links they will go to. And then you can backpedal and start going through history and find out, oh, they did this and they did this and they did this and this and this and this, and see like, oh, this is how we've been living. This is how we've been living. And so the whole thing is waking up to realize this is how we've been living. So then if the scenario plays out on Sunday, which, you know, could go either way. I just can't imagine with all of this, you know, all these signs and stuff that we are all seeing. It's like, it's got to be being shown to us on purpose. And they've got to be prepared, or it's a big show. And so then if they were to do that, then they would have to really create the exaggeration. So they would have to keep things under control or under wraps for a few days. And that would be the days where things like the banks won't open, the stores won't open, nothing will be open, everything will be, and before, when we all were suddenly put in our homes during the sickness, is there was some set up places that people who didn't have resources could go and get. Like if you didn't have any food, you could go there and get food. So they would make sure that, you know, like they weren't locking people up in starvation or something. They were trying to help people, you know, have what they needed. And so if they were to go through this scenario like I'm projecting, then they would still have to shut stuff down. Like I don't think, you know, things would just be open Monday just as normal after this big, you know, supposed attack. Is that okay? Like if we go back to that date in September, and I know when I saw it, it was in the morning. The kids were getting ready for school, which now Megyn Kelly has come out and said that the morning show journalists are some of the most corrupt journalists that you can find. And so there's more weird stuff, of course, with Savannah and her mom, And now there's pictures of Savannah wearing a boot. And so we know what that, what the boot means. And they're all, got their little contraption around their ankle and they're hiding it with the boot. So, and I don't know how old that picture is, but there's times, where she was saying, interviewing Donald and it was weird stuff. So, I don't know. And then there's a whole thing of, that she was, interviewing somebody, which I thought it was Amy that interviewed, the one girl, that supposedly killed herself. Like, it was all drama around her too. I can't think of her name. Giuffre, Virginia Giuffre or something like that. And so, and then there's a ransom. Like, there's so much weird drama, so much weird stuff. Which, even in the interview where Savannah was talking to the nabbers, that they, she says a line out, directly out of Silence of the Lambs. They don't do this stuff by accident. Like, and it was, when the mom, so when the girl is taken, and she's being held down in the thing, and we know what he did. He made skin suits. What did Heidi Klum, is her name Heidi Klein? Heidi Klein? Whatever, her Heidi. To the Grammys, she wore a skin suit, which was so weird looking and so awkward and so uncomfortable. It's like, what in the mannequin weirdo shit are you? These people are so wacky. It's like, I don't know, they are all there. So, so in Silence of the Lambs, where, he's making skin suits, and then, so the one girl with the whole movie goes around that he has down in the hole, that, when the mom of her goes on to, and I think she's a senator or something, and or mayor or governor or something, and then when she is, making her plea, and she says, she's very, something like, she's really nice and sweet girl, talk to her and you'll find out. And, because the whole premise is, to see him as a human and not just as a thing. And so talk to them. And Savannah says the exact line. People have showed it. It's the exact same thing, which is weird. Like, how many people would even recognize that? I mean, people say, the line people say out that movie all the time is like, put the lotion on the skin. But they don't, like, all these different lines. So some of them are just kind of forgotten. But that was weird that she would say that. So there's some whole weird thing about that. And then Megyn Kelly coming out and saying they're the most corrupt people are on the morning shows. But so that morning of that September morning, I was in nursing school, and so I got up and was getting ready. My kids got up and were getting ready for school, and we had the TV on, and I don't know if they were watching something or what, but then it, took over all the channels, and then they kept showing it. And it just drew everybody in, like anybody you called, everybody was in front of their TV. And so, because I'm calling my friend and stuff, like, oh my God, you see what's happening? And so we were all tuned in. We were all like freaking out. It almost makes me want to cry right now. It was like, God, it was so traumatic, man. It was so sad. But let's see, if they were trying to counter that, like if they were trying to, like, you did this to us, but this is, a show, but you're being blamed for it. So then, so to really beef it up and blame them, which they, need to be blamed. I mean, they have done this stuff to us. And so, but that morning, everybody, we still, like, my kids went to school. The schools were all like, let's all just in silence or something. I don't remember. It was a thing. Nobody just went about their business like nothing happened. And then I went to school, and nursing school is business as usual. We probably had to go to the hospital and do our work there. I don't remember. Um, but the, that probably, we had to go to the hospital or whatever, and, because not all your work is in class. But I don't remember. We could have gone to class and then they could have said, everybody go home. I can't remember. I know it didn't shut down stores, it didn't shut down banks, none of that stuff. It just traumatized us. And then where they hit us was travel and show us your papers. That's where we got the hit the hardest. Oh, well, we got to protect you. So you guys are going to go through all of this stuff in order to protect you, because one of these may come through and we got to be on top of it. And so it was just taking rights away from us right from the beginning, which there's even so much more about the corporate travel, those big jetliners and stuff, and there's weird stuff, all these people talking about the gasoline and how they go, and then look at how much they control our time, and then there's a whole thing about the map, and they take us on these roundabout ways because they're not uh, when also when the roundabout ways, it could also be about portal systems. It could be like, well, they have to go through this way to get over here, and because we're not laid out in this big flat thing like what I mean, we're not on a globe, and we're not on a big flat thing either. We are, it's just like realms. I don't know. It's like being on the side of a mountain, kind of. And we're all on these like lands, but it's just different than how it seems to us. So it's hard to, because to me, I've said this before, but to me, it's like if you take an apple and the core is the poles from north to south, and in the core is the energetic field, and it is where the energy flows. And then on each side of the apple, then if you were to put all of these spaces, and so it's like, that is how I look at it. That's how I think that we are more in. So we're inside the bubble, we're inside the apple, we're inside the globe, and we may be more where we conceptualize as the surface, and then below us is more the inner earth. And so, but still, it's not just like all flat like this. It's like different. And so when they fly, they have to like use like it's like kind of like if you went to a certain place, you could go out, like what we have seen happen. We've seen this happen with planes and ships and stuff. They disappear. They don't just disappear. They go through a portal and they go into a different time, a different place, because everything is layered. Like we're even layered in time and place. And so just here where I'm at right now, that doesn't mean that this is the only thing going on right here. There's a whole other situations happening, and that's where you start being able to like time travel, is go into those other spaces from leaving from yours. But that is where it's kind of like where we have to learn how to do that. We have to also have the vibration that meets it, but you have to kind of learn how to maneuver through to get into different times and space. But every place has different times and space. It's not just one thing. It's not just one place. It's like layers. It's like a card deck. And it's like the shuffling of a card deck. And so all these different realities, all these different dimensions, all these different realms of space in one place. And so, yeah, it's like the shuffling of the card deck, but it's like one space. So it's like one card, okay, so if you take like one deck, so one deck of cards, but then you shuffle it and they all go together. So it's like they all go together to create the deck, but it is, each one is separate. So we're just one card out of the whole deck of cards, if you get what I'm saying. So you have a whole thing of realities in your space time that are tuned different than you. You're one vibration, they're a different vibration, they're all different vibrations. You could tune in to the different spaces, but it depends on where you are tuned. We are fine-tuned into this one. So like we are running a program to exist in this vibration, this realm. So we would have to tune out of it, which that is kind of what we're in this process of doing currently, is changing our tune, is you know, like turning our dial and creating more space for us. So, and it's so much about focus. It's so much about like we're hyper focused on this reality, and that's where they want to keep your focus. That's why all these releases and these dramas to keep you focused. But there's more people who are realizing that, and that they are trying to keep your focus because it's a distraction. And when you think about who's trying to keep your focus, well, the dark. If the dark wants to keep visitors, then they've got to hold you in that space. And so you are like trapped and they keep you running in circles. But that's why you got to break out from that program and see what they're doing so that you can, so it's like see what they're doing so you can break out of that program. And then once you break out of that program, then you start opening yourself up. And once you start opening yourself up, then you see that you are multidimensional. You are eternal. You are of the light, and that you can move around more freely, but you are more held by your focus. And so then once you start working on yourself and fine-tuning yourself, because you got to let go of stuff. That's the thing. You got to let go of your pain and suffering and stuff. And that's the positive part of the focus, is the structure behind the lessons in the experiences. So you get more out of the experience when you are focused. But now we are changing experiences and we are here for the ride of the change. So we have to do something different. And it's not to say that this has never ever happened before in the cosmos of all time and space, but this is a time of change. And so we have to be flexible and be able to go through the process of change. And so in this process is where you have to, like, you know, you're zoomed in on the pain and trauma of this place. You have to zoom out, and then you have to re-zoom in on self, where when you zoom in on yourself and you're focusing on yourself and you're healing, it seems to me the main thing is to ask yourself all the time, why am I doing this? What am I doing? What am I trying to gain from this? Why would I be doing this? Why would I think this way? Why would I say this? Why do I feel this way? Why don't I feel that way? And just like questioning yourself, trying to understand yourself. And then when you see the answer to your question, you go in deeper. And then when you go in deeper, you can release things. And some things you have to play them through. You have to understand them more fully. And then, you know, it's like taking something too serious and then realizing you're taking it too serious and letting it go. So it's kind of like a process like that. But in order to understand your own feelings and stuff, you have to question yourself. of why you do the things you do. How, what are you trying to gain from this? What are you trying to get from them? Why are you asking this? Why are you doing that? And so it's just to really, fine tune yourself and really understand yourself. And that's the process to move towards, because they want to keep you just on autopilot, just doing and being reactive to your pain. But once you start delving into your pain and trying to understand your pain and where it comes from, that's how you can release it. And so that's the process of moving out of one reality into another reality. In this scenario, because this one is leaving a place of pain and moving to a place of power. So you leave your pain to move into your power. And then once we move into our power, that is when we start being able to move more freely through existence of these realities. And so it could be kind of like, in the heavens, say you move freely, but you're going down into a more heavy depth of a vibration. And so it takes more practice or more abilities to get to that one and be able to move freely. And so, but that's what we're working on. And that's why, we'll be able to more of the concept of time travel and more of being able to go to places and places that we thought were far away, thousands of light years away and stuff, and more of being able to be around other beings and stuff, because we evolve through gaining our power of our presence, of our knowing, of our being. So knowing our own being, becoming with clarity of self, and moving into that realm of space, then that is where, the creation of the world as you want it to be exists. So that is where we go into this concept of being the creators of our new world, because it is, it's like we have the abilities to do that, but we are stuck in a lower sense of self. And that's what is important about you learning your value throughout the stuff, to really learn to value yourself, the importance of self. That's what I say about, learning to love yourself, to see your own value, to know that you, and that it takes, forgiving yourself. One of my daughters had found some old messages that she had written a long time ago, when she was more, how she was seeing herself as being more desperate and toxic and stuff. And, anybody who's faced themselves has gone through these things of like, facing these sides of yourself, where when you get more to your healed, you look back at that as like, oh my God, I was so pathetic. What is wrong with me? And, any of us who have gone through that know that experience, where it's just like, you look at yourself as like, oh my God, I'm so pathetic. I'm so this, I'm so that, so judgmental on yourself. And that is where you have to learn how to release that. You have to learn how to let it go, and to accept yourself. Is a big thing, is about accepting yourself. And yeah, your grown self is always going to look back at your other self, and be like, why, but this is, you got there through these things. So you had to go through these things to get to where you are. And so you learn. The whole experience is learning. And so you don't want to shame yourself for not knowing what you didn't know. You want to accept yourself and then elevate yourself to yourself. Love yourself and be like, man, look at, I'm doing pretty good. I was pretty lame here, and now I'm doing pretty good over here. Instead of just being like, God, I was such a lame-o. God, I can't believe how stupid I was. I was just such a piece of shit. God, you can't get stuck on that. You're just holding yourself back in your own judgment of yourself. And, but if you do, then you'll just go to other lifetimes, and so that you can break free from that. Because if you can't break free, then you're stuck and you're in a loop, and you want to break free from the loops, and they want to keep us in their loops, but you want to break free from the loops. And so, and anytime you're doing something different or breaking free, it's always going to be uncomfortable. You're only going to be comfortable when you're just doing the regular things that you always do. You're going to be real comfortable doing your regular patterns because it's, it's easy. When you break free from your patterns, it's going to become uncomfortable. Then it's like, oh, I'm going to do something different than I normally would do. So it's, and you're the one in charge. Nobody's in charge of this for you. Nobody can give you the answers. That's why you have a team, a guidance team. You have a higher self. You have an internal guidance that is trying to assist you, because that's the only ones that you can really trust. And then that takes discernment, because a lot of people start tuning into the dark energy, and the dark energy just will keep tricking you. So that takes work too. You have to work at that. And then when you're trying to understand that, just question that too. Like, question, like, is this good for me? Is this going to hurt other people? Is this going to keep me in a karmic loop? Is this going to keep me in a trap? Is this productive? Because I think that they are the leaders in revenge, get even with them and stuff like that. And people think, well, I'm standing up for myself. And it's like, yeah, but do you need to? Do you really need to go back and get even with this person? It's like, there's a lot of things that you got to see that keeps you in a loop. You got to let go and move on. And so, so much of the stuff is about awareness and about taking the time to understand and look at it deeper. Look at it through a lot of lenses to really try and understand it with clarity. And so, anyways, that's what, through all these different occurrences, that's what gives us opportunity to process through these different painful situations. But a lot of this stuff is kind of a disclosure of the truth behind this reality, because so many people are so trapped in the enslavement of humanity, and they keep themselves in the trap. So it's like they got to show us they got to show us how this trap works, so that we can say, hey, this isn't working. I got to do something different. And yeah, it's, they set it up how they want us to navigate their reality. But that's, you got to sometimes get uncomfortable and go in a different route, take the road less traveled. And so all of it's a process. And so, anyways, that's my dilemma over, is things going to be open? Like, are we going to be able to move freely? Are we going to be able to go to the store? Are our cards going to work? Is, how significant will this be? And we won't really know until it happens or doesn't happen. And if it doesn't happen, then we still have something that's going to happen somewhere ahead. And sometimes it seems like, well, why would they waste this opportunity? Because this is a pretty big opportunity. And, but I mean, we don't know what the plan is. It's always trust the plan, trust it, just trust it. It's like, okay, we're trying, but we it isn't. It's like a natural thing to try and figure out, well, what do you think the plan is? What do you think they got planned for us? It's trying to figure out, like, how do we navigate through all of these things that are going on. And so, anyways, yeah, I don't know what the but I mean, if it came down to it, I do have my frozen muffins, my frozen cinnamon rolls, my frozen pizza, which I have to think about, what will I eat tomorrow? I know today I'm going to make a grilled cheese sandwich. Oh, tomorrow I could make some chips and cheese. Yeah, I've got cheese and chips. So, because there's the possibility you may not be able to cook. So that's why I've got stuff that's already cooked in the freezer. All I gotta do is get it out. I even have a couple of tubs of dog food that I've already made, so it's in there. So I feel like I would be prepared if, if it's a few days. Hopefully it's not gonna be like weeks or something. I mean, who knew once we went into quarantine it was gonna be so long. So, but like I said, I think that they will have things set up for if people need things, because there'll be a lot of people who won't be prepared at all. So, anyways, but I don't even know if that's how it's going to go. That's just kind of trying to put together the pieces, you know. So we'll just have to see, you know. But the whole thing is just be prepared, especially if you're in the city. Just really watch out all this weekend today, and where people are saying stay away from concerts, stay away from bars, stay away from gathering places where a lot of people gather, because that's where they come in and hit the hardest. So, you know, it's like stay safe, stay home, maybe. Like, that's what I do mostly. My big plan for the day is to vacuum my car out and get ready to go get groceries. And I've been letting the dogs go out and run around. And it's gotten a lot more, because it was so stressful to me at first. Because I'm like, oh my God, they're going to get hurt. Somebody's going to eat them. Something's going to happen. Neighbor may, you know, anything could happen. And it just stresses me out. And then they've been going out and running around more and more. And I keep thinking that this is what the dogs, you know, this is like their life of their dreams, to be able to go out and do this stuff. And then, of course, still goes down and gets in the river. I swear to God, my whole room just smells like a river at this point. And it's very fishy smelling. So it smells like this certain kind of dirt and fish mixed together. I don't know. It's kind of stinky. I have to keep washing the blankets and washing the blankets. So you have to keep washing everything. Just even if they go out there and they get in the, if they always find mud to step in, and they come in and track it all over the place, and just the mud smell, everything just smells lately. Even when I open the door in the morning, it's like all you can do is smell like cow manure. It's like, how much cow manure is there out there? It's very strong. So, you know, I mean, not everything's perfect out rural, but it is much better than being in the city. Because in the city, not only do you have to be on guard for all of the crazy, but there's also all the tension, all the people and their energy, and it's all coming out of them, especially attention. That's why this place feeds off attention and stuff, because it's so much energy is sparking out of everybody. But that all this energy is what is going to turn things around for us. So, so whatever happens, just, you know, it's going to bring us all together. It's going to be, it's just the craziest thing, because it's like the sad thing turns into the best thing. But when you think about it one way, it's like taking something sad and making something good out of it. And so it just all depends on how you look at it. But it's like a sad thing is going to lead to a happy thing, because we all come together, and we come together with respect and love and caring and compassion, and not this dog eat dog, everybody out for themselves, division, hate, so much gossip, and just meanness and stuff. I don't know. And then there's so much weird stuff still with the celebrities, man. So much weird stuff. Even Margot Robbie the other day, when she's going, I guess, the opening Wuthering Heights, and everybody's debating over if she was cast right, if either of those people were cast right for this show. They just put people, all these companies want to do is make money. So they're not sitting here thinking of they're going to stay true to the book or whatever. They're thinking of, you know, who do people like to see? Who do they want to see make out, you know? And, but anyways, I think she was going to the opening night or something, and she was wearing some dress she couldn't walk in. I just say, I'm like, why do these women who are supposed to be so successful, why is it like women reach a point of success? Like, I mean, would you see a CEO, a successful man, go out and be in his, you know, jock strap walking around? Would you see him going out and being in pants that are sewed shut so he's got to take little tiny baby steps? It's like, why don't women be more like, you know, I've reached a point. I don't have to humiliate myself. I don't have to reveal myself. You know, J-Lo, she's out there just like, well, I don't care. I'll be, yeah. But also with Dolly Parton did the same thing. It's like, I'm just going to go out and wear the most skimpiest clothes. Who cares how old I am? Who cares how much money I have? And it's not because about the age, but you think at a certain point that it would be like, no, I respect myself. You don't get to go and look out all over my body. I don't have to show you my body. Maybe that's what they tried to get me to do to get into the business or whatever, but I've reached a point in my career I don't have to continue. But then you got people like J-Lo. To me, it's kind of like she is attention, desperate for attention. And she, like, I look good and I'm going to show everybody because I want all the men to want me. And all the women too. I want everybody to want me. It's like, okay, well, that's a personality disorder. That's like, you need to work on something if you need to go out and, reveal your body to everybody because you want everybody to want you. It's like, that's not having self-respect. That's desperation. That's the kind of stuff you look back on and you go like, oh, I can't believe I did that. But anyways, there's just all this weird stuff going on. And even with Kelly, I swear to God, now they have her as this like really tall. She always looks super tall to me now and so skinny. Oh my God, she's so skinny. And she gets really upset. How dare you? I'm really stressed out. My dad just died. And then Sharon looks what they just look like something that just came right off the shelf of the plastic surgeon's office. And then I don't know, it's just weird. There's so much weird stuff. And there's weird stuff about the whole thing with Ozzy. There's just all this stuff is just weird. And I think it is just to keep getting us to, be aware, question society. Just, the whole thing is weird. What do I want to be a part of? What do I want to idolize? Who do I want to look up to? And so, I don't know. It's all just a bunch of weird stuff. Tons of weird stuff going on. You just can't get too caught up in it. Like, people get so caught up in it, and it's just like, you gotta just let so much of this stuff go. Just notice it, just see what's happening around you, see what's happening in the world, but don't get too caught up in it. So anyways, but we'll see. So today we'll see what happens, because today's supposed to be some pre-game of whatever is coming. I mean, so we could see, some at the bars, some big things happening in the cities. We could see some fires, some explosions, some derailments, some crashes. Like, there's no telling. There's just no telling. But I would assume that today we're going to see some drama. And then somebody said that tomorrow, I think Amy had told me, like, because I thought the Super Bowl was in the middle of the afternoon, but she said it's tomorrow evening. I'm not going to be watching. I know that. And I don't even have TV. So I don't know. I guess, I'd probably be asleep if it's like in the evening anyways. So I don't know, how it's going to go. Like, because we all have phones, so we could have emergency broadcasts come over our phone and tell us to stay and play. I don't know. We just got to see what happens. I've got to sit and try and figure out, like, I guess if today gets too crazy, then I'll think, oh, it's like, could be more likely about tomorrow. Maybe I should go up and get like $50 worth of, because mostly what I probably want to go up and get is kombucha. Because I've got my peanut butter crackers, I got my muffins, I got my cinnamon rolls, I got my pizza. But maybe I'll go up and get, some more bread, some more, I don't know, a bit more kombucha, because that's where I've got it almost out. So, anyways, that's what I'll be trying to decide. And we'll see what goes on today. And then we'll talk about it in the morning. And, but, through whatever's going on, I'm telling you, the whole thing is about you evolving. This is about human evolvement. And so the evolving of the human as a being, as a species of engagement, of experience. And so, become the best human you can be. Be the best you can be, and work on yourself, and be aware of yourself, and ask yourself the questions, and let go of things, relieve yourself of your pain and suffering, and learn to love yourself. Learn to love everybody, because it's important, and learn how to navigate all of this drama and all of this stuff, create the day you want to have, not the one that they want to trap you in. So anyways, but we'll talk about whatever occurrences happen today. We'll talk about them tomorrow. So I'll talk to you later. Oh, and I did set a reminder for Wednesday for going live. So I did figure out how to set the reminder. So anybody who wants to be reminded, I guess you can go in and you can push that, and then it will send you a reminder that it's happening. So anyways, I don't know where it's at though, but I did set it. So it's out there somewhere. So anyways, I'll talk to you in the morning. Talk to you later. Bye.